Hello, welcome to the Indie Ocean. This is Commander World 1. As far as I know, there haven't been any other worlds in the Commander series. I assume it was intended as a series. This is 80 Microsoft points, and it's a tower defense game. I've covered tower defense before, as you probably know, if you're a regular viewer or reader. I did Stormgate, Zombie Crossing, Spoids, maybe one or two others. This was actually one of the first tower defense games I played, and it's actually pretty good. I mean, the graphical style, as you can see, is basic in many ways, but I think it's intentionally retro, and I actually quite like it. For the most part, it's quite nice. I mean, the main problem is the guns. You can see the green turrets at the top there look a little too basic. But for the most part, I quite like it. Anyway, we'll get started. The game doesn't explain itself very well at all. For quite a while, I actually didn't realise there was more than one type of turret in it, so I recommend checking out the help, particularly this bit, to tell you what the different towers do, because otherwise you will never know. They don't have names, they're just represented by these symbols that don't give any indication of their function. So, let's do some defending of towers. This, as far as I know, this is only the first world. Or the first, yeah, I suppose world in the game. Because you've got this bit up here that says, go to world 2. So presumably when you get to the end of this lot, you get to go on to the next world. Which is good, because initially I thought this was the entire game. And when I realised that you can get through each level in, 10 minutes or something, I thought the game's going to be an hour long, this is ridiculous. I've only got to about, 1.6, 1.7? I think 1.6. Which might seem very early in the game, but this isn't intended to be a comprehensive review of the full game, just a quick intro to a game that I'm enjoying playing at the moment. So to give you an idea of how it works, I think I'm actually going to start with 1.1, because although it's easy, that means it'll also be easy to talk over. So, you can see we've got, as usual with tower defense games, we've got a route along here, following my purple pointer here, that enemies approach along. But there are a few things that are different about Commander World 1. And one of them, which you'll see once we get started, I'll plant a few turrets first. Start with just basic guns, I think. I think that's all we have on this level, actually. And we'll upgrade them as well. Because you can, in true tower defense style, you can upgrade your turrets to make them more powerful. So we'll do some more upgrading here. And then we'll put some more down here. Do some more upgrading. Maybe we'll upgrade one of these to... No, we don't have enough money left. Anyway, let's get started. And one of the things you will probably notice quite quickly is the path, where previously it went off the screen up here, at the top somewhere, is now over here. And this is one of the defining features of Commander World 1 that sets it apart from other tower defense games, in my opinion. Let's do some upgrading as we go along here. And that is, its path moves, on some levels more than others. On this one, it's a gradual creep, which is actually my favourite style of moving path in this game. But it does different things in other levels. One of the benefits of this as a mechanic is it means that different types of, or different areas, different collections of turrets become more important and less important as the round goes on. So at the outset, these guns at the top here are the most important ones because that's the first point that all these enemies will pass. But actually, as you go along, this bit down here becomes more important. You can see now that this, which is our sort of base planet that the enemies are trying to get to, is getting much, much closer to the entrance point of the enemies. So actually these turrets are becoming more relevant. And then over time, as this round proceeds, the path continues to swing round until it's sort of down here somewhere, at which point these planets at the bottom become much more important. So you can't just build one solid defensive position and then rely on that for the whole of this level, because it will change. Each one will become either less important or more important as time goes on. And I think that that is one of the features that really drew me to this game when I first played it. And I don't know about you, but as I said before, I actually quite like this retro visual style. Anyway, that's shown you the basics. So let's go on to another level. You can leave levels in the middle and come back, which I think is quite a nice feature. I don't know if you can do that after starting another level, but it doesn't really matter. Let's look at this one, I think. Yeah. This one, as you can see, is a much more convoluted path. And we start to see some things, some other turret types. You can see when we hover over an emplacement here, we've got the basic laser, which is the green blob at the top of the list. And we have this thing, which is kind of a long-distance beam weapon. This one, which I'm not sure, actually. I don't know what that does. The description is very poor. It seems like it maybe stuns the approaching enemies, but I'm not certain. And this bullet-like thing at the bottom slows them down. So, on this particular level, I whacked down a load of lasers. But in some... Oh, you have to select a new each time. Anyway. But in some other levels, things are quite different, because different levels have access to different weapons. So, on the first level, you only have these basic green lasers. On some other levels, you don't have those, but you do have missile launchers, and so on. So, on this level, we don't have missile launchers, but we do have lasers. So you can see that there are actually quite a lot of variations from level to level. And there's also a turret which isn't available on this level. Maybe we'll look for a level where it is available. I think it was perhaps this one. Yeah. This white turret that looks a bit like a $sign. When we select it, it shows what its effect is. It actually bends the path of the enemies around. So you can change the enemy route and make it longer, firstly to give you more time to fight, and secondly just to wind it around worlds where you have defences entrenched, so that you can do maximum damage. And one level, I think it's maybe this one. No, not that one. Maybe it's this one then. Yeah, you can see, I told you about the moving path. You can see on this level, the path doesn't just slowly creep around, it actually rocks back and forth and it swings all over the place madly. So the functions of the turrets, or rather which turrets are most important, doesn't change just gradually over the course of the level. It changes from moment to moment. And this sort of varying nature is, I think, probably the best thing about Commander World 1. And it's what's keeping me coming back to this game over other tower defense games I own, like Red Invasion, which is perfectly solid, but also perfectly standard. So anyway, I'll wrap this up pretty shortly, but I do want to mention one thing. I've been fairly effusive in my praise so far, but I should mention that on some levels, I can't remember whether it was this one or another one, but on one particular level, when the screen got quite busy with approaching enemies, the game slowed down so dramatically that it was almost unplayable for most of the level. And I don't mean it slowed down a little bit, I mean it ground to a halt to the point where you would move the left stick to move your cursor like this, and 5 seconds later the cursor would suddenly twitch to the other side of the screen. It was horrific. And considering that, stylistic choice or not, this game looks pretty basic visually, I think there's no excuse for that kind of horrific, unplayable slowdown. So that is really my only complaint about this game. Well, there are a couple of niggling other complaints, like it's a little too easy to accidentally sell towers when you mean to upgrade them and don't have enough money like this, and you accidentally sold it, because it's done with the same button. But my main complaint is this slowdown problem, and I've only seen it on one level so far, but further through the game we might see it recurring. I don't yet know, I haven't played far enough to say, but if it does recur, then that alone could completely scupper Commander World 1 as a recommendation. But as it stands, if you enjoy tower defense games at all, or even if you've never played one before, because this I think was my very first tower defense game, then I do recommend Commander World 1. It's pretty accessible, it's easy to learn, the first few levels are manageable, they ease you into the game, and yet at the same time it does enough that's distinctive and unique to make it enjoyable and set it apart from other tower defense games. And as usual, at only 80 Microsoft points, it's not exactly a big financial risk. So anyway, this is Commander World 1. As usual, thanks for watching, and I will see you the next time for more game videos and stuff.